The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not reflect the views or endorsement of any entity. Nothing being said on this podcast should be considered as investment advice.
GM.
We did it.
We did it. We're back. Back in the studio.
We're back in the saddle. We took a couple of weeks off. The show went on without us. Apparently, the highest rated shows ever happened while you and I were out.
Yeah, Amanda was hosting last week, and she absolutely crushed it. I think
totally.
we're going to be on the outside.
Are we replaced?
Yeah, seriously. Welcome back. This is 100 Proof Live. This is your weekly variety show. It's Friday. We talk about all things NFTs, digital collectibles. That's pretty much about it. Derek, you're back.
I'm back. I was in. So I was doing a little crypto summit out in Europe. Spent a little bit of time in Italy with folks, some traditional finance folks, some crypto folks. Talked a lot about NFTs. Talked a lot about storing value in digital objects and unique digital objects, and had a blast. Had a chance to spend some time out there, sharing gospel around everything that we live and breathe in this space, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Of course, we are joined by Amanda, who is head of all things culture and community at Proof. Amanda, good to see you.
Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. I don't want your job. It was really fun filling in for one day. I couldn't do this every week, but it was a blast.
I got to go back and watch the episode, and I apologize I haven't done that yet, but everyone said it was an awesome episode. So
everyone's raving.
Excited to see it.
Awesome. I'm glad everyone loved it.
All right, so let's talk about today's show. We're going to talk about all things generative art. We're also going to talk about the Mythics launch, which happened yesterday.
Congratulations, guys. I started looking at it. We can save the commentary for later in the show, but it looks really good.
It was crazy. It was like the art, I think, the good news is that everyone is like, dude, this art is awesome.
It's
like
awesome. It's objectively very, very good art.
It's been good feedback so far. Also, we are going to have Eli on the show in a bit, who's Proof's head of art, to chat with our special guest, who is head of digital art at Sotheby's, which is going to be pretty awesome to have him on the show as well.
Yeah, that's Michael Bouhanna.
Yes, Michael's going to be on the show. We can't wait to have him on and chat about all the things that Sotheby's is up to. They've been doing some really kind of innovative stuff, so it'll be good to hear kind of like his take on things.
They're cooking up a lot, and off the heels of some very successful auctions and some shows over there. So I'm sure he's gonna have some cool stuff to talk about.
They've got their generative art platform, like lots of stuff to get into there. And of course, follow us at Proof Podcasts on Twitter. And that is a place where you can just subscribe to all of the updates, because we only post new posts there that actually have content in them. So if you want to see all the latest stuff that Sam's putting out or that we put out, all of the content comes through that single feed. All right. Should we kick things off?
Let's do it. Let's jump right in.
All right. Generative art.
What do we got? Okay, so this is actually kind of a crazy week. There was one point on Wednesday or Thursday where I was looking around and there was so much stuff that I wanted to mint. We've got Prohibition, which just launched. That's Jordan Lyle's project. Mm-hmm. They had their kickoff this week. It's their new Layer 2 Arbitrum generative art marketplace built on top of Artblocks engine. They've had some really cool stuff launched there. We saw Gucci and Christie's launch a much larger and kind of established auction this week around kind of digital art and digital fashion coming together. I saw Claire Silver. I saw Danny from Drop on there. I saw a couple of also, I think I saw Lost Robbie and a Fidenza and some other cool stuff in there as well.
So let's go through each of these one by one, because for people that don't know about the first one that we mentioned, Prohibition.art, one of the things that's really interesting about this is you have Snowfro, who obviously is the founder of Artblocks, and he's been focused on ETH main chain.
Yes.
And so there are all these layer 2s that are popping up and other chains, and it seems like he's said, I'm okay with not owning the entire space. I don't need to own every layer 2. Let me just license out the Artblocks engine to someone else. And so this is Arbitrum. It's running on Arbitrum Layer 2. It's not quote unquote art blocks, but it is their engine behind the scenes, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So another way to think about it is Art Blocks Curated and Art Blocks Factory and some of the original Art Blocks products that they created that you can navigate to on artblocks.io. Those are just instances of the actual Art Blocks product, which is like the code and the protocol and all of the suite of products that come around what is now being referred to as Engine. And so Art Blocks Curated is a customer of their, greater Engine product, which is now starting to be used across the industry from folks like, Bright Moments when they do their IRL exhibitions, or, this deployment on Layer 2 Arbitrum, and others. I mean, there's now dozens and dozens of these instances getting spun up. All of it is pulling from the same package of code and suite of products that Art Blocks Curated, Art Blocks Factory, and some of the original Art Blocks are pulling from.
Now, will this stuff, so this is the reason I like Arbitrum is, one, the bridging process is damn simple.
Yeah.
It is like, in terms of all the other stuff that I've done in bridging, I'm sure that there's some other easy ones, but if you take a look at the screen here, we actually have Ed Balloon's new drop that is out. And
yeah, I was just trading messages with Ed about 30 minutes ago. I got to go in and check this one out.
Yeah, there's 204 total minted. I think there's only 333. It gets hard to read from here how many there are there. But the nice thing about this is to bridge my ETH over and to switch chains and to mint this was probably a total of a 5-minute process.
Unreal.
Which was awesome. And so what is the hope here? Because like if you think about, Arbitrum or any layer 2s, like what do you think this Prohibition is trying to go after? Like in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong here, like the one reason why I was always kind of attracted to Hen and Tezos is because it was like, it was less expensive. It was just like an easier way for up and coming artists to get started.
Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of what they're going for? Like why have this? Is this more of a playground versus Art Blocks is going to be the more curated route?
Yeah, I think you're nailing it, which is there are real trade-offs. So I know when I am thinking, so maybe let's just extend the product that you originally described, which is like FX hash on Tezos, or
like William Mapan when he first got started.
Yes.
Dragons, some of the early stuff where you're just like, holy shit, I should go collect this now. But now he's a rock star on ETH.
And among Dragons and among some of like the early work that filtered up to the top, there's also lots of people just experimenting and trying things. And so this open marketplace approach for generative art and art broadly is like something that, it will surface up great work over time. But like there is something about relaxing the constraints to costs or to speed or to just, the overall vibe of just like this more open community, open marketplace approach that will draw in, I think, talent that is still emerging. That's not to say that really great established artists won't launch on this product. I think they will, and I think they have. But I do think that what, Prohibition may be optimizing for over time is something that's a little bit more open, something that looks a little bit more like an FX hash built on top of the Art Blocks ecosystem that allows this open innovation and experimentation to kind of thrive in this environment where the stakes aren't as high from a cost or a time perspective.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think the next year is going to be really interesting in that, Art Blocks more or less dominated the generative space for the last couple of years. And now, even FX Hash said they're coming to ETH, which is crazy. And they just raised a bunch of capital, and so they're expanding into other chains. And so it's going to be interesting. Where do you think like Art Blocks, like how do they really, as a primary site, how do they really define themselves? Like what do you think their defensibility is long term?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I would say first from just like a rendering and a deployment and an end-to-end process for just the technical stuff that Jake and the technical team at Art Blocks have built is actually, it's constantly being iterated upon, but there's so much insights that they've gleaned having been in market on Ethereum for as long as they have. They were the first. They created the industry. And so being able to issue spot on the front lines, ways to improve and optimize code, they just have such a tremendous insight about the limitations, where opportunities exist, and how to navigate towards them before I think anyone can really grok or understand it, which is why they've been able to move at such a speed that allows products like this to exist, like the Engine product. I would say that's first. Like I think there's a technical advantage that Art Blocks will always have, just being a market leader. But second, the Art Block, like just talking frankly about Art Blocks Curated, I mean, that contract and just like the Art Blocks Curated name, that is a brand. Like that is a brand that, collectors all over the world, some of the, wealthiest traditional art collectors are now coming into the space. And when they want to invest capital, they want to do so in a way that, is the top collections from the top contracts from the top platforms, right? And Art Blocks has reached that threshold. And you've got, when you mint on Art Blocks Curated, you're minting alongside the Chromie Squiggle or the Fidenza or the Ringer or, so on and so forth with the great names that have come before you. And so that is just a halo effect that I think will persist for a very long time.
So we also have another story that is about Snowfro actually talking about this new NFT valued beyond scarcity through this thing called an inclusive edition.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like, what is he talking about here? And, speaking of innovation, how does this play into what Art Blocks will be doing in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. And he talks about this in this thread that eventually, Art Blocks, a lot of the experimentation that he's describing in here is powered by Art Blocks Engine, which is their suite of products and their contracts that anyone can use. But the experiment that he's describing is one that doesn't optimize for scarcity and like the collectability around why people have started to collect things like CryptoPunks or Chromie Squiggles or some of these other leading generative art collections, and people continue to purchase and support artists who are making new and emerging generative art collections that are fixed at a quantity of 300 or 500 or 10,000. What he's describing is, what if we optimized instead for inclusivity and accessibility? So instead of creating a capped threshold on the amount of objects that can get minted from a single algorithm, what if we kept everything identical but allowed the artists to say there is an infinite amount of outputs that get created, and then when the time is right, me as an artist can turn off the minter. And that could be at a point where 1 million have been minted. It could be at a point where 10 million have been minted. It could be at a point where 1 billion have been minted. But really, the discretion is up to the artist. And in doing so, it optimizes against kind of like the FOMO ramp that exists sometimes where people are trying to collect and store value in objects. And so I think it optimizes for a slightly different end segment, which is, like we think about products and services that exist in the real world. And, even an apparel company that does a drop of shirts, right? Like they'll typically continue to run the shirt if it's successful for multiple seasons, right? Or they'll maybe do a small derivative on the shirt for the following season, or they'll keep it on and allow people to buy the same shirt for years.
Doesn't it kill the collectability altogether though when you do something like this?
I think it trades hyper collectability for something else, which is it still doesn't prevent me from buying products and services today, knowing that someone else could buy this shirt or 5 million people could buy this shirt. I like this shirt.
It's a great shirt. I mean, it's
thanks, dude. I like this shirt, and it doesn't bother me that presumably hundreds of thousands of other people are wearing the same shirt right now. I know that I like it. It speaks to my identity, and it's something that I want to collect. And so, do I think that will I be able to sell this shirt for 5 times as much money in a year? Probably not. But like if this ends up becoming an important shirt for whatever reason, and the minter gets turned off a few years from now, and there's a finite supply that exists out there that's been kind of, bought and consumed by people who just enjoy the shirt. Like, I think maybe there could be some value to trading this in the secondary market 10 years from now. It's just, it's a slightly different calculus, and I think optimizes for a different behavior.
The thing that's interesting about it, though, is it doesn't really include, there's no degradation of the asset. So because of that, everything is mint. And like there was an example here just a few days ago where an iPhone, the original first iPhone sold for like 140, 150K. And it was like, it's because all the other first edition iPhones were used and destroyed, right? Totally. And so like when you have NFTs, if there's, 5 million of them that were created from open edition, there's going to be lost wallets, obviously, things like that. But there's still that supply there. But it's
unrelated. Yeah. But when I saw that, the first thing my mind went to was I want to buy an extra Vision Pro. Like
interesting.
Just because like I feel like that's a watershed moment for AR VR, and I was like, oh my god, I'm looking into the future right now.
Yeah,
and let's just buy an extra one and sit on it for a couple decades.
You know what kills me is I actually went and looked for an original first generation iPhone about 3 years ago because I wanted to buy one and just have it sealed. Yes. And they were like, I don't know, I want to say I saw one for like $2-3 I'm like, I'm not spending that much money.
Man.
It kills me. But like I have a sealed copy of Windows 1.0, so I'm happy with that.
Legend.
All right, let's move on. The zombie sale.
Yes.
Look at this fella.
We're so back, baby.
Look at this
This is
fella.
Undead Fred.
Look at this fella. I'm so sorry.
Amanda, you want to take us away here?
Do I want to take us away? Yeah, I mean, sure. Metaversal bought this $1 million CryptoPunk. It got everyone so excited because obviously, you know, who doesn't love $1 million sale, right?
Yeah.
It's a it's a controversial one, you know, because it's got that stringy hair. Not everyone loves a stringy hair. Not everyone loves the goatee. What is that on its mouth? Is that just like the zombie drool or something? I don't know. A little drool.
It's like a little flavor saver going into the goatee.
Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose has flavor saver.
Listen, this is not my favorite zombie.
Why do you think Kevin has a beard? The dude has been
exactly.
flavor savoring for decades.
I save every lunch.
Oh man, I think they're cool, man. I like the zombie. I like the green. You know, I think it's a really cool one. Kevin, what do you think about it?
First of all, no one here thinks it's a really cool one.
I do.
You do?
I do. I think this is a cool punk. I do. I think this is an objectively cool punk.
And it's a zombie. Yeah.
There was a point to their credit. Metaversal down in the comments said this is an ugly punker, but zombies should be ugly.
I think zombies should be ugly. Like the uglier the better. Like this is I know stringy hair gets a bad rep. I love it on zombies. This is cool.
Stringy hair gets some of the. It's probably the worst trait in the CryptoPunks. Can we all agree on that? Like that's fair to say.
I think on most punks, I'm not a fan, but on zombies, I really like it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a zombie. Like no one's pissed if you have a zombie.
True.
Like that is a grail of grails. So, congrats.
I'm reading the comments here. Riggs says, "What does he say? Hoodie over zombie any day."
Jeez, like that's like saying like. Who
I don't agree. Actually, I don't agree.
You're saying the hoodie.
He likes hoodie over zombie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a hoodie zombie.
I gotta be honest. I like the hoodie for sure, but man, it's a different ball game. Like zombies are zombies.
Yeah, man. No. Zombie over hoodie. So I don't know what you're saying. So we got Riggs here. He's in the office.
What's up, Riggs?
He's here for our Mythics event tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. And he's over here in the chat. And I'm like, I'm right next to you, dude. Like, just say it. I don't know if you can pick it up, but what are you saying? Hoodies over zombies?
I think aesthetically, hoodies over zombie, and I would also add that
absolutely not.
Buck teeth might be the worst trait.
The buck teeth.
Yes, the buck teeth. And what about the what do we call it? The ass eater. He said it. He said it.
All right, we're not gonna let. This is a PG-13
we
show.
gotta bleep that one out.
I will say, if you see me at the Mythics event tonight, come up and say hi, because I may have a CryptoPunk on my phone that was never released that I can show you a picture of.
Wow, what do you mean by that?
I just mean that like there was one attribute that didn't make it out to the public, and I asked the founders, I asked
Could you show it
Matt
around?
and John, I said, can I show it? And they said, yes, just don't let it get on the internet. And I said, that's cool. And they were very kind, and they're just like the best guys, you know. And
they're awesome.
And so I may have a picture on my phone that I can show you of
right,
one
I'm
that
in.
didn't make the cut. You've already seen it. Don't act like you haven't already seen it.
I'm definitely in.
All right, so let's talk about the Mythics launch. We had a massive launch, and of course, we spent some time, or we didn't spend some time, we spent a ton of time doing the Mythics, but Mal spent some time recording the behind-the-scenes footage. This is a very special behind-the-scenes Mythics Chronicles video. Let's take a look. This is the fanny pack, and I thought for sure there was enough shit on the fanny pack that Justin wouldn't want to double down on.
Unbelievable.
But apparently he doubles down on the FUD.
Yeah,
they're not
adventures packs.
They're adventures packs. They're like,
This is what I deal with every day.
The majority of the team is in QC mode, right?
Just looking through everything, making sure that it works. My eyes are bleeding.
the fidelity of these is just absolutely nuts.
See, sometimes you just get that background and that foreground bird where the colors just like works. And it's like, man, pinks and purples to me.
It's just this beautiful bird, beautiful background, and then an arrow.
What do we call the eyes? These eyes. These are dope.
Those are adorable eyes.
Yeah, the adorables are good.
Yeah, and you felt that, didn't you? It felt adorable.
What are your hopes for this collection?
When this launches, it's going to create just a ton of conversation around all the little hidden gems that are yet to be discovered and be talked about. So, we've covered a lot of the story of kind of like the technical behind the scenes, but the one that we still have to cover is the story of Mythics, the lore behind the entire thing.
Justin, you want to tell us the story?
Yeah, I want to tell a story. Once upon a time, there lived the Mythics, a magnificent assembly of diverse birds unified under the protection and prosperity of the Erg Tree, their sacred home. These birds lived amidst a true creative renaissance, a paradigm of patronage that brought power to the collective society rather than to individuals. A community of mastery furthered by guilds, artisan craft houses fueled by knowledge sharing and collaborative commitment to excellence. It brought about the highest form of craft and culture for the good of the society. Amidst their growing potential and creative ambition, the Mythics sought to expand with Shoreloft, a city high in the sky above the clouds. Here, at the pinnacle of their culture, the Mythics set out to forge the legendary creation gem, which would bring to life the wonders of the city of Shoreloft and extend the Mythics' own reach beyond the branches of the Erg Tree. And then, something awful happened. During the forging ritual, the creation gem was corrupted, leading to the birth of the malevolent Dread, a sinister entity that feeds on and serves as a vessel for their deepest, darkest emotions of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The Dread manifested as a relentlessly voracious force that plagued the Mythics world. Overwhelmed by the all-consuming Dread, the Mythics fell from their glorious heights, their ambition cut short. Their failure became part of history, shrouded in despair. From there, the world that the Mythics once knew plunged into perpetual twilight as the Dread slithered across the land, taking on infinite forms and stifling progress and ambition the world over. It was a new Dark Ages. But that is not where our story ends. Ages passed as the Mythics became but a piece of lore, and the Moonbirds, descendants of those Mythics, lived within that same protective embrace of the Erg Tree, which had always kept the forces of the Dread at bay. But amidst those sheltered branches, the Moonbirds yearned for more than their confined and comfortable existence. They were eager to explore and fulfill their curiosity of the world beyond the Erg Tree, aspiring to carve out a new path for themselves. But it was these very seeds of ambition that were met with a swift and devastating blow. The Dread seized the opportunity and attacked the Moonbirds with unparalleled ferocity, confirming their deepest fears and plunging their hearts into a state of terror. The surge of fear granted by the ravenous beast had the necessary energy to unleash its destructive might upon the Erg Tree, shattering the protection of the ancient sanctuary that they had once held so dear. But deep within the roots of the fallen Erg Tree, the oddities unearthed a long-lost mythic egg, a discovery that set into motion a call to action for all Moonbirds. Realizing the need to confront their greatest fears and the power inadvertently bestowed upon the Dread, the Moonbirds and the oddities hatched the dormant mythic eggs. unwavering courage, the united Moonbirds and Mythics will confront their deepest fears, growing stronger with each step. Together, they'll rally to strip the dread of its power and restore balance to the world. In doing so, they'll discover the true strength that's always resided within themselves. You see, there's great possibility in the air, but with it, a sense of the unknown. The kind of adventure that means that from this moment forward, nothing will ever be the same.
All right. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounded perfect.
Awesome. Got some bad news, though. We're actually kicking off the start of Mythics 2. So, let's go. Let's go.
Please, no.
Oh, my God. Win Ravens. Insane.
I love that video.
I do too.
You guys have, I mean, the content that you guys have been making around this launch has just been A+.
I think one of the things that we realized, you know, when we started off doing these kind of chronicles is that, you know, oftentimes when you're just sitting there on Twitter, you know, you don't know what a team is doing behind the scenes. Yes. And so this was kind of like our chance to show there's actually so much effort that goes into creating something like this and launching a new project. So I'm just glad it got to showcase all the hard work that a lot of the team members put into it. And it goes far beyond. I know we highlighted Colin and the design team, but there's the engineering team on the back end. There's the people that do the website as well, the minting process, all of the checking and QA that has to go in, making sure hardware wallets work. And I mean, the burn mechanisms. And I mean, there's a whole team of people, you know, that are just putting in a ton of multi-month effort to pull it off.
UX, platform, engineering.
Marketing, like I've done like 4 interviews in the last like 48 hours. Like it's a lot. But congrats to the team. And we just rolled out another, so we're doing a slow roll. So for people that don't know how this goes, it's basically 100 are coming out per day. So 50 of the oddities get burned and get converted, and then another 50 are actually activated eggs, and then those activated eggs can go through the process of actually going through the mint process.
Will so like, for example, I've got eggs. Is there if mine become activated, do I have an indefinite amount of time to start the process to burn the eggs?
Yeah, I think we're eventually at some point we got to call it and say, okay, we're going to flip these into real things. But I mean, that's going to be many months out from now. But the cool thing about the eggs is depending on which type, there's 3 different types. Yeah. The very basic egg, the stone egg, it's just a 1-for-1, meaning you activate it and you get what you get.
Yes.
The next one up, you get 2 choices. And so there's 2 that are presented to you.
That's cool.
And then you decide which one you want. And whichever one you don't choose actually dies forever.
You'll never see it.
You'll never see those traits again.
Yeah. Isn't there like, don't they end up in some like
graveyard? Yeah,
graveyard.
That's coming.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and then there's going to be the last egg, the legendary egg. You have 3 choices between, and we also show you kind of how rare they are, like the different attributes, how many people have minted those attributes already.
What a fun concept! I have not seen that dynamic anywhere in our space yet. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where we started talking about it. We have some really old footage where Justin and I first started talking about this stuff like many months ago, where I remember the conversation was around just. There's when you create these dynamic collections, you're creating all these different attributes, and like they're assembled by a computer. Like you're not hand doing it. You're saying algorithm, you know, kind of apply this many of this trait, kind of apply this many of this trait. Do not pair these together because they don't work well together. And you realize there's just so many potential combinations that are going lost, that get lost forever. And it's like, why not allow people to play a little bit of part in that process? Like it just seems like more fun. And
I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's super awesome. Well, kudos. This has been, I mean, like watching you guys have launched this thing has been awesome, but then also seeing the response has been amazing. What have you guys been hearing?
Tell us what's been the general sentiment, like especially today since we had oh my gosh, I have so much leg showing in this particular shot, like Derek up in here. Okay, so Amanda, what's been the response?
Response has been amazing. You know, I think everybody is so excited just about the quality of the art. as well as the storytelling. So shout out to the media team who's just been crushing on that end, right? And a lot of people just really love this, the flow, the Mint UI, and everything. I think it's just been really great. We have a channel in Discord that shows them every time they are burned or an egg is activated. That's been really fun. It's been cool to see people, take a screenshot of their choices and ask other people to choose for them. But we've done a really great job to make it quite obvious, what's rare or what is a cool trait. And I think in the beginning, it's kind of fun to start maybe picking some of the ones that you've never seen before. Justin just posted the first. What was it? The first crazy mouth that we've had. There's just a lot of cool firsts that are happening. So that's really cool. Shout out to NB in the chat. This is one of the first times he's ever come and watched this live. He's not a holder, and he was watching the Chronicles right now, and he was like, why aren't other teams doing this sort of behind the scenes? This is my favorite collection I've ever seen. I think he didn't even really know that much about it, and he just came and joined and watched along. And I think that just kind of shows the power of the storytelling and how amazing the art is. So congrats to everyone, man.
Yeah, this is some of the stuff I'm seeing revealed here. I haven't seen the entire collection. Obviously, there's a lot to look through, and you have 30,000 some, and you see these put together. Look at this one here. This is the first time I've seen this one here. It's
I
just
see the adventure pack.
Amazing.
What are the headset glitch goggles called?
Colin would know. They're down here.
Scroll down.
Cool. It's a lot. I can't scroll
It's
with this
amazing.
mouse. It's the old Apple mouse, and it's horrible.
Oh yeah, we got to show the tomato.
Yeah, the tomato was the one that first came out yesterday, and people automatically gave it a nickname. We did not plan this, but it was a random. They're just calling it. This is kind of our goose. In the ringers world, it's the tomato that everyone is kind of spotted as the first odd combination that also looks like something we didn't expect. So
I love it.
It's pretty fun. I like the Chromie Squiggle body.
Can we show a Chromie Squiggle body? This is one that I am praying to.
There's one right there, but let me show you. Oh no! Can you scroll this, Derek? I don't know how to use this mouse.
Is it this
one? It's the Apple mouse.
Yeah, the Squiggleberry. The Squiggleberry is my favorite. I need a Squiggleberry, and I think there's a couple other traits with the Squiggleberry too. There's an orb.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh god, that one's so clean.
Yeah, this one's sick. I like it. The art is killer, guys.
Yeah,
is this the only squiggle trait that plays a role in any of the traits?
No, there is another.
There's a squiggle worm. There's a squiggle worm. Oh.
Don't give them away yet. Have we seen a squiggle worm yet?
No. Never mind.
All right, to be determined.
We got a couple other, and we have another very famous NFT collection that is also going to be featured that hasn't made a mint yet.
Let's go.
There's some fun.
No.
This is the cool thing about just rolling out 100 a day. Is there's going to be some fun combinations over the coming weeks and months that people will see and get excited about. So really pumped. And we have a great party tonight. That's what I'm so excited about. We'll get into that a little bit later and talk about the get together. But first, Eli, welcome.
What's up, Eli?
GM. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
How are you? This has been a great show so far. Watching the Mythics release was amazing yesterday. So as you said, Kevin, kudos to the entire team. I had almost nothing to do with it. So kudos to everyone else.
Well, you're hard at work on the next Grails. So was stoked to have you going heads down on that. I know that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And that's coming in just a few weeks. This team does not stop. We're going back to back to back. So
yeah, that's right. I'll be out there next week and we'll start filming for Grails 4, which is exciting. But we have a really exceptional guest joining us now. Michael, welcome from Sotheby's. My Grails brother. Welcome, man. Great to have you. Oh, I can't hear Michael.
Sorry. I was saying hi, Eli.
That's okay.
It's great to be here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. So, Michael, you've been very much at the center of everything happening in the digital art, generative art space with the big 3AC sales and the Grails sales that you guys have been doing. I'm so curious, take us back for a moment. How did you get into this space and ultimately become sort of the digital art person at Sotheby's?
I've been at Sotheby's for 7-8 years almost as a contemporary art specialist in London. I was heading some contemporary art sales there, so really in charge of the expertise, valuation, sourcing, and selling of works for 3 auctions a year. And I've always been interested in new technology and also in trying to understand like how my sector is going to be disturbed by the new technology. I thought for long that it was going to be the online sales, but actually when I started to learn and discover the NFTs in the late 2020, early 21, I first ventured in buying some very bad NFTs back then, but then I ran across some very interesting artists, conceptual artists who were using the medium as the new technology as a medium. And I always been a huge fan of conceptual art, so I've digged a bit more into it, and then I realized this is something we need to present to our collectors. So I've done the first sale, it went well, and we continued and built. Over the next 6 months, we started to build an actual department for that. We don't often open departments at Sotheby, so it's a big event. And now we are fully committed into making it growing, and so build this new place within this new ecosystem.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could unpack there. Let's go back just for a moment. You said you were a fan of conceptual art. Did you see artists in this space using the medium in a way that you thought was conceptually interesting? Who did you see that it switched on for you and it made sense?
Yeah, I think the first one that comes to mind, it's Pac. He's done a work that he included in a very early, in one of the first sales we've done, where the image itself is reducing in size until becoming a single dot over time, and it's like a great way actually to tell about ownership and not sharing the works to others when you're a private collector. And conceptually it's very interesting, and only this technology could make this happen, knowing that every time this token got transferred, automatically it goes back to its original state. That's one of the artistic use case of the technology.
Yeah, interesting. And now that you guys have done some of these sales, how would you describe the way that Sotheby's has sort of had this evolving relationship with NFTs? I think as I look across the various things you guys have done, there have been NFTs in the contemporary sales. You've done these discrete NFT sales with lots composed of sometimes wholly PFPs. And now it seems like you're sort of evolving into a more explicit focus on generative art. Talk about that journey a little bit for Sotheby's and digital art and NFTs.
Yeah, I think we've been at the very beginning, we've been very focused on the high end of the market, and we had back then only our Sotheby's.com website with the limit it means in terms of the back end, the functionalities, the Web3 limits we have. And so we've built this new platform, Sotheby's Metaverse, where we have a lot more flexibility in the type of sales we can offer and respond to a demand from the artist, depending on the type of works they want to bring to market. But I always use actually the two platforms to take the best of them, either from the tech side or also from the exposure to the more traditional world. And then it's true that since the past 6 months, I've always been interested in generative art, but I really have a huge conviction for this medium, for this movement, and I think it makes sense for Sotheby's to be way more present in the generative art space, mainly because it got this long history from the 1960s. And when talking to traditional clients, they are very receptive actually to generative art, more than other movements that maybe interest more younger and new generation of collectors.
Yeah, let's double click into that, Michael. I think it's fascinating to go behind the scenes a little bit and better understand who is actually showing up from the collector side to participate in these sales. There are different narratives, and we saw with the Goose, for example, that it was an existing collector from the Web3 digital art space, of course, who purchased the Goose, and there was some conversation around the sort of trade-offs of that being the case and them being a steward relative to maybe a wholly new traditional art collector coming in and making that purchase. But I'd be so curious, what have you seen? And then going from there, what are some of those roadblocks, do you think, for traditional art collectors to really lean in and participate in these digital art NFT sales?
Yeah, I think it's very challenging for us to onboard new and traditional clients into NFTs, and even more when we talk about like 500K plus works. On the lower value, like Vera Molnar, for example, the sale we have next week, it's a perfect project to actually pitch our traditional clients. They are very familiar with the artist already. And it's a lower investment, it's a lower spend for them, and an easy jump in. And I think one of the main challenge for me when talking to traditional collectors, they are interested in the art, they are very fascinated about the technology, but they don't want exposure, for example, to crypto. And they want also the work to be displayed, which is fair enough. Like I could understand someone not being very fan of crypto, or like just like wants to collect art and not having this crypto thing associated to it. So that's one of the main challenge. So we are working on making the whole experience from the discovering of the art to doing it to be way more like fine art and traditional for them, which is very important also in the way it can also grab attention from institutions, museums, art historians, curators, etc.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And again, it's such a fascinating moment in terms of trying to onboard and tell stories effectively and contextualize these works effectively so that they are resonant with all sorts of collectors, irrespective of some of those roadblocks or some of those apprehensions around it being associated with crypto. If you abstract that piece away and you can tell a cogent story for why the work is important, I think we can get pretty far doing that. I'd be curious, and we're jumping around a little bit, Michael, but royalties creator royalties has been such a fundamental promise and part in many ways of everything we're doing here. Traditionally, the auction houses have not honored creator royalties on secondary market sales, I think. But with the 3AC sale, you did explicitly. Talk through maybe what has been the traditional model and what did you guys do with that sale in particular?
No, I think because we launched also the secondary marketplace in which we've set up the share of royalties at the smart contract level. It's something that is technically doesn't happen on other platforms. If you buy a super rare token on OpenSea, it doesn't always drive the royalties to the artist, and because it's not set at the smart contract of the level of the marketplace. So we've done it, and for us there were no question that we would honor the creator's royalty. I was actually a bit shocked how quickly it came from this technology is amazing. Creators are at the center and benefiting from the sales of their work over time to let's not pay the royalties. I could understand in some for different type of projects that are closer to a business than art.
Yes.
But to commercial than art. But for certain case and for digital art or generative art, etc., it wasn't fair. So we honor the royalties for free.
Yeah. But to be clear, Michael, traditionally, for work sold, for example, in the contemporary sales, the contemporary day sale, night sale, royalties are not traditionally honored. Is that right?
There
are no royalties that are baked in.
Bacon, yes, is a European artist, so he will have royalties. US artists won't have any royalties, but there is a company called DAX, I believe, and they collect the royalties from every art brokers, auctioneers, galleries, but it's capped. It can't be per work, per transaction. It can't be more than 12 talents or 14 talents. So you sell a 10 million. Yeah, you sell a 10 million Lucian Freud. It would be capped at 10 or 15 talents max.
That's interesting. And then just to close the loop on that, with the 3AC sale, you did make the decision to honor royalties on the Goose, so forth, back to Dimitri or Tyler on one of the Fidenza sales. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and double click into. I'm so curious. How did the 3AC sale come together? As much as you can say about that would be fascinating. Just from how did this deal and you guys becoming the auction house of record for these works come together?
Yeah, I think we've put a lot of effort in presenting a strategy that one is very global, is like using very different sales channels, and also very thoughtful of the market, because it's a very challenging in selling these items, not affecting the value of our own portfolio that we have for sale in the future. And this is where we really worked on converting the liquidation image of the 3AC to a celebration, to generative art, to art blocks. Also, there is a lot of art projects. And we also advise that the seller that we need to take our time to not have this the discount, to not be exposed to the discounts like the buyers would expect in a liquidation contest. And actually, as soon as we announced the sale, I've seen many collectors trying to get the works at a lower price just because of the context of the sale. But with the very first sale we've made in the Contemporary Art in May in New York, that we sold 7 works and they all outperformed very, very, very well. And it showed that we'll be taking care of each work we're going to sell from that portfolio.
Yeah, that's super fascinating, Michael. And we a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now or more, we were discussing whether the 3AC dimension of those sales would ultimately be sort of an interesting form of provenance, and that collectors would desire those works because of that story, or whether those would have a negative effect ultimately on collectability. What have you seen there?
It's hard to say. Provenance, and I've always been surprised, never been so picked up in the from the traditional world. Like provenance can affect the value of some work. It's a bit surprised, but also it's because the problem with NFTs is very messed up. You can have like 12, 15 collectors 6 months of life of an NFT. So there is an approach to provenance, I feel, for NFTs, and especially NFTs that were created in 2021, where there were a lot of trades. But it's special because collectors and museums, institutions, they're always looking for one work to tell many stories at a time. And if you have you can tell the story of the randomization of the you can tell the story of the one project that is considered kickoff for art blocks. You can talk about this concept of abstract to figure and how the community is creating the work and the perception of this work. And you can also about the crypto, the bet with this stock price, and then the fail of 3AC. And so the provenance brings a lot of story on the context it was first bought and sold. So I guess in that case, people put value a little bit, not that much, but a bit of value in the provenance.
Yeah, super fascinating. And you guys have now really leaned in, as you've been alluding to, Michael, into the generative art space in a very real way. I've been impressed with the thoughtfulness and depth of education you're doing. You've done in-person panels. You've produced some of these videos around the sales with Sophia and Eric and Casey and others, and now you're leaning in and doing primary sales. So you have one upcoming with Vera Molnar, who you alluded to. You guys are using the Art Blocks engine, which I think is really interesting. Talk me through that from a strategic perspective. Why is that interesting and important for you guys?
I think, yes, that's a very interesting component for Sotheby. It's like traditionally, we are doing only secondary market works, working directly with the collectors, dealers, gallerists. And here we are like acting like a first market gallery in the sense that we help the artists in the production of the works. We find the partners to be helping with the conception. and until the sale itself, going through the go-to-market, the strategy, the marketing, the communication, etc. So we are really like from the very beginning until the sale of the project, and that's a very first actually for Sotheby's. But we've done it a few times via working directly with artists. It's very common in the NFT space. I think 50% of our sales are working, excluding 3AC, are working directly with artists. And it's just because of the lack of the presence of galleries in the ecosystem. And I think they are very missed also, because I feel like some galleries, some managers for artists would be very needed for some of them who doesn't want to do that job. Some organization, some price and market advice. Like there is some things missing in the ecosystem. On the production of project side and bringing like Vera Molnar, it's a fascinating project for us, like bringing a 99 years old legend of generative art into a pure long form generative art project on our block engine. It's like we're super proud of this project, and it's through the Gen Art program we'll be looking into creating more of this and really focusing on quality. If I have one project in the year, I'm fine. I just want each project to be very special, and then in 15 years we would see like just like a very little number of projects that each has something to tell.
Yeah, Michael, I found that interesting that you said if you do one release of real significance, that will feel like a win. I know you guys are planning maybe slightly more than one, but just that framing is interesting to me. I always think about the auction houses as solving for revenue, and that runs somewhat counter to what you could do, which is run a number of these primary sales and likely sell a lot more NFTs on the primary market. Organizationally, of course, you are bought in. You're championing everything that's happening here. But organizationally, is there deep support for NFTs and digital art across Sotheby's? Are you always having to do work to steward them and fight for more resources? What can you say, sort of organizationally, is happening?
Yeah, no, I have an amazing support, and it goes from the CEO. Who's been always very interested in new technology, bringing very new concepts at Sotheby's. Since he came in as a CEO, he developed tremendously like all the online sales, the online only sales, making our sneakers and wearables and sportswear department growing, and we are one of the leading in the market of rare sportswear item. Since then, and in order to really bring also this new generation of collectors, the young collectors, and with NFTs, he believes truly like in the technology, both for the digital art, but also into how this technology can be an interesting use case for our traditional business. And then my team, I have an amazing team of specialists, catalogers, marketing, and they all are collectors, passionate about the medium and good support.
Yeah. Okay. Just wrapping up here, Michael. Where do you think this all goes? If you have to look out 5, 10 years, 20 years, are NFTs the primary form of high value art? Does the medium sort of evolve in different ways? Is digital art just contemporary art at that point? Where do you see this going?
I think to me, it's already like just contemporary art. It's the distribution mechanism with the NFT. It's different. The behavior of the collectors. We've got 65% of new clients to Sotheby's since 23. So we were also very active 2 years before. So it's we keep onboarding new clients, and they are all younger than the average at Sotheby's. So we are really talking to a new generation of collectors, and this is very positive to me when we think in 5-10 years. And When you look at the history of art, you realize that every new movement comes with its own collectors, its own ecosystem, and they don't necessarily chase for the collectors of the previous movement, but they grow actually. And when the time passes, they get, of course, like my clients today who are my age won't have the same buying power in 20 years. And so I would expect then the market to grow with them if they remain loyal to NFTs.
That's exactly how I think about it as well, Michael. One, that it's a movement, and two, exactly as you said, as those who are a part of the movement at this moment get older and their purchasing power expands by extension. Exactly right. I always think about it the same way. Let's just quickly, as we wrap up, Michael, give us the sort of details on the Vera Molnar release next week.
No, absolutely. So Wednesday, 26th July at 11 a.m. ET, we have a Dutch auction. It's, by the way, the first time we conduct a Dutch auction after 300 years of English auction. So it's a huge event for Sotheby's. And we'll be selling the works of Vera Molnar, themes and variations she's made with Martin Grasser to help on the tech side, on the design side, obviously, because she doesn't use the tool she always been using the computer as and all the tools she's been using, like always, as in order to question her works. And she's done it again with this project, which are around an homage to letters. And she picked three letters, NFT, which at first I was not fan of it. I thought, like, we are trying with digital and generative art to remain from this three letters that means a bit everything. But she said that she's seen every new technology through her 70 years career, from the very first computer that she could use in a research center, and then she saw like all the new technology, and she never seen a technology like the NFTs and what it brought to the generative art ecosystem, a revival for it. Disturbing the market that much. And so she wanted to pay homage actually to this technology by doing through NFTs. But it's still, for her later, it's to get away from the circle, the square and the triangle, and actually bring some more complex abstract shape. Like you can see on this image, it's an N, but it looks very abstract, it's very minimalist, and in line with her work through her career.
I love it. And for those who are not fully aware of Vera, she's one of the true pioneers of everything happening on the code, digital art, generative art side. I went to the Coded exhibition at LACMA, of course, many of her works there. So this is a great place to start, Michael, with your primary sales with Vera and Martin, who has done Squares, the great project, and others. Well, good luck. It's fun. I feel like we have some kinship between our shirts today and our Grail shows. So wishing you big luck, Michael, and we'll talk soon. I'll kick it back over to Kevin and Derek.
Thank you very much.
Michael, that was awesome.
Yeah,
the Vera drop's going to be amazing.
You and I were going through the outputs or the test outputs just now, and they were looking incredible. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's starting at 20 ETH and then dropping down. I'm worried. I mean, I'm a buyer, but it might sell out at a high price.
Did Eli or Michael mention, is this a refundable Dutch auction or is it just a Dutch auction? I couldn't tell. We need to double check. The last couple Art Blocks curated drops have been refundable, so even if you entered in early, you could refund the delta of where it ended up minting out. I don't know if that's the case here.
Yeah, it says here the auction will open at the starting price of 20 ETH, which is the maximum price each item can be bought for. The price will go down in increments of 0.1 ETH every 15 seconds until the items are either sold out or the price lands at the resting price of 0.75 ETH.
Cool. Okay, that's helpful. I'm excited for this. This is going to be... as Eli mentioned, like Vera Molnar is, you draw the line back to the early experiments happening with generative art and digital art. And like her name is, one of the few.
How old is she now? Did we say?
I think she's in her 90s.
99?
Late 90s?
Eli, do you know what offhand how old she is?
I didn't realize I was still on the show. She's
eating lunch now. What are you doing?
Yeah. I was about to go do a quick set back there. No, she's 99,
Wow.
and so her collaborator Martin Grasser, I think helped support on some of the technical dimensions of this one. He in his own right is an amazing artist as well.
He did did he do the tennis drop as well?
That's right.
Okay. That was very cool. Yeah. Martin was a
so
talent. This is going to be a fun collaboration.
I mean, the thing is, at 99, you kind of wonder if this is like, I mean, I don't want to get like all dark, but like she doesn't have many more generative drops in her, like in terms of like how much more output an artist can do. I don't start laughing. I'm just thinking about you guys. I'm not trying to go dark here.
Kevin, this is a great play.
No, listen, I'm just saying that like this is going to be like a very collectible piece.
She's toward the end of her career. I think she's exploring the mediums here. She picked a great collaborator, and who knows if she's even interested in pursuing on-chain generative art further.
Yeah.
So I take your point.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to. I mean, the outputs look beautiful, so I can't wait to check this one out. That is it. Amanda, anything else to check in on you with? How's the community doing? Amanda needs a second. She's this is just falling apart now.
I couldn't unmute myself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just Friday vibes right here. No, I'm good. And Eli, you can get back to the set of Boogie Nights now. See you later.
I love it. Whenever the four of us are on a show, by the end of hour one, things totally devolve into ridiculousness.
Yeah. Yesterday we had the celebration for Mythics, and like Justin took us to this like, I don't know, this weird bar, and we were having some
club lunch.
Yeah, it was. But if we ever do, we should do a fun little celebration. If actually, you know what, that's a good time to tonight. We're doing a real celebration. Yes. We want to mention that again. It is at the Row, downtown LA. It's at 8 p.m. It's like 8 to 10, I think. We're gonna have some cocktails, a bunch of fun. It's a great space. So if you are in Los Angeles, I hope you can show up and swing by for one drink.
I'm gonna swing by. Folks will see me tonight.
Sweet, awesome. So there we go. Come on out.
Nice.
Is there, Amanda? Do we have a place for people to RSVP? How are we making sure that people can actually get into that?
Yep, you can go to events.proof.xyz to RSVP. We'll use token proof. You don't get like a ticket, just an RSVP. You can just walk in. Basically, your token is your ticket. We'll scan you. We'll get you in. I was there yesterday checking the space out. Maggie's done an amazing job, like really filling that space out and making it feel real homey. There's one section of the like gallery that has, some behind the scenes, old images of what Mythics used to look like. I think it's coming. It looks beautiful. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun tonight. Can't wait to see everyone.
Do we have any fanny packs for folks coming?
Adventure packs.
Sorry.
No adventure packs, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but we got some cool stickers. We got some cool stuff. I'm excited.
While we're on the swag conversation, I've been pushing Mal on this for about a year at this point. Can we get 100 proof shirts?
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Ooh,
yeah.
Like we should have the
Let's go.
Let's go. We should have 100 pieces.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, Mal.
That sounds great. I don't. Mal runs video.
Oh, who's gonna help us? Who's gonna help us on this mission? Maybe this is why we don't have shirts yet. Mal is just nodding his head.
Mal's like,
yeah, dude, that sounds great.
I set up the cameras and edit everything.
Jesus, dude. All right, we'll figure it out.
Thanks, everyone. This has been an awesome show, and special guest to our thanks, or special thanks to our guest Michael, who it was awesome to hear the insights there.
It was a good
what
interview.
They're working on. Yeah, Eli
did a good interview there.
All right, we'll see you all soon. Before this spirals out of control.